Hello and welcome to Take Flight Live with Phoenix Stage Company, an award-winning 100% volunteer community theater organization located in Oakville, Connecticut. I'm Ed Bassett, Executive Director of Phoenix Stage Company, and your host here with Tim Phillips. Say hello, Tim.
Hello.
How are you?
I got to put my things on here.
Yeah, put your things on.
I'm sorry. I'm out of practice.
Yeah, I know. It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Also in the room, our technical producer, Michael Calabrese, is here with us. And our lighting genius, Al Hathaway, is somewhere about.
Yeah,
he's got my coffee somewhere. He's holding it
so
hostage.
let's do this while he's.
Oh yeah, we have to.
that,
Here we go. Let's see if we are appropriately distanced.
Or whatever it is.
We are 6 feet 3 inches.
Nice. Well, if we were 6 feet.
6 feet.
If we were 6 feet, we would be 0.00113 miles away from each other.
Say that again.
0.00113 miles.
Okay.
See, I had to go back to basics since we missed a week here.
Yeah.
Here's your coffee.
Here's my coffee is coming in from the side here.
And there's a reason you're having coffee tonight.
There is a reason that I'm having coffee. I've had a very stressful week.
Do you want to talk about that first?
Sure.
Let's talk about that first, how we almost didn't have a show today.
I know, we almost didn't have a show. Yeah, so I had a really stressful week. I started feeling poorly on Thursday of last week. I came here and we didn't have power. We didn't have power to our phone and our internet, so there's no way
That's why we couldn't do a show.
And I started having a very dull headache, and it was there, and you know, and a tickle in my throat, and I didn't feel good. And then Friday, I felt a little bit better, a little dull headache. Spent the evening with some friends, and then went home, and my head hurt really badly that night, and I was coughing again, and I woke up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat and coughing. And Saturday morning, my chest was really tight and my head just really hurt. So,
and that's when you start going.
I started to have a little panic. So I called my doctor and was advised to go into an urgent care in Torrington, because I get my care through the Veterans Administration, and the urgent care there is on that network. And I went in and they were like, and I told them what was going on, and well, we're going to do a COVID test. And so they listened to my chest. I had some rumblings going on in my lungs, and I did not have a high fever. I was at 99.1. And so they gave me some meds, and they stuck that thing up into my brain and squished it around and counted to 5, while they were doing that. Yeah, it was like tickling the back of my eyeball. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was wondering how that felt.
Yeah, it felt like somebody was like tickling the back of my eyeball, and it was like, and they were counting to 5, and you have to cover your mouth. You have to keep your mouth covered with your mask. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever had.
Okay.
Urinary catheter is the worst thing I've ever had, but
thank you for sharing that.
But this wasn't so bad. And then the worst part was, you have to go home and stay there now.
And now you don't know.
So I was allowed to go out to the pharmacy and get my meds. They prescribed some medications for me for all the symptoms that was going on. And I had to wait and alert everyone that I'd been in contact with that I was waiting. And I've slept for the last 3 days. I've done nothing but sleep. It seems
because you couldn't. It's not that you couldn't go out, but you couldn't do all your other activities that you like doing so much.
No, I couldn't sew masks. I couldn't do anything, because in case something was going on, I didn't want to contaminate anything. So I didn't even go into my sewing room, not knowing what was going on. And today, this morning at 11 o'clock, I called in and said, so you said 4 days, it's been 4 days. And she looked through her paperwork and asked my name again and asked me some more, and then went, you're negative. Thank you. All
right, now let me clarify this, because that's exactly what you did when you called me. You called and went, hi. I'm like, oh no, I'm negative.
Yeah. So I'm drinking coffee today
because you're on meds.
I'm on meds, and so as it turns out, last year I had whooping cough.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah, you were really.
I was really
down with that.
I had whooping cough. It developed into pneumonia, and apparently that damaged my lungs.
Right.
Caused some damage, and so now this is where my allergies are going to settle. Normally, all of my allergies are in my head.
Yeah.
I don't normally see allergy symptoms and like beginning of fall.
Right.
But I think with the storm, stuff just got kicked up, and then cleaning up after the storm and stuff. So I think that settled in. So all of this settled into my chest.
Right.
Now. And so I have an inhaler now that I'll have to use all the time.
Oh, aren't you getting older?
I'm getting older, and
and Michael's coughing.
And Michael's coughing and having gas pains today.
Yeah,
and so,
it's contagious.
Well, he inhaled a Subway sandwich.
That's true.
So
I think he took 2 bites to get it.
He's got a whole Subway thing right in his gut, right that.
There.
But so I had a very stressful week, and it was. I have to tell you, it was really stressful.
No, I can't imagine. It's that not knowing.
I felt
for that
bad. I didn't.
Period of time.
Yeah.
And now, it's probably no confession to say that you're part of our pod, Lori and my pod.
Yes.
We have a pod. Everybody has pods now of people that you're comfortable spending time near.
Yes.
Not, not hugging or anything like that, but just, spending time with. And you have spent a lot of time with us. So that's why you called us and told us this was happening. And so now we're thinking, what are we going to have to do? Right. So until you actually have some plans coming up, and we're like,
and this is kind of this is the times we live in now.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
I was really, really frightened with the results of the test. I was doing so much research, like, wait a minute, I still have my taste buds, so I can't have it. But that's when I learned you aren't going to have every symptom. Just like the flu, this is going to hit everybody differently, right? So I feel better knowing that I don't have it. I still feel kind of crappy. My throat hurts and stuff, but I know what it is now. So, or what it's not.
Right.
So I feel a little more comfortable. And
I'm sure Mumsy must feel happier about it too.
Yeah.
Mumsy is
my landlady,
Sharon's
Houk's mom. And
she's up there.
She's 85.
Right.
And so,
and you couldn't even see her during these days.
No, she'd be down in the hallway, and I would be up at the door with a mask on.
Yeah.
If she needed something, or if she, so it was stressful. It was really stressful.
The other day I donated blood, and I found out I had trouble getting an appointment, and I usually like to go to the American Red Cross in Farmington, because that way you don't have to worry about going a different place and do they clean it, or are they really as good? It's one place, everything's fine. And I was having trouble getting appointments, and I found out yesterday when I gave blood why that is. So many people are giving blood because then they're doing the antibody tests now as part of your donation. So I will find.
You find out if you had it.
I find it if I had it. Doesn't really mean much. I imagine it probably does mean something if I have antibodies. Maybe I'll have to donate them if I do. But I don't know. But it was just one of those things. There's so much of the stuff that's going around that we still don't know.
We don't know. And that's, it was really, it's been a really rough 3 days, but everybody, you were checking in on me, and Lori was checking in on me. Yeah. Sharon was checking in on me. Yeah. Nancy was checking in. Hey, checking in. How are you doing? You getting your sleep, and I slept a lot, more than I ever normally do.
Well, it's not only that, but we also had the reason why we couldn't have a show last week, that storm, Isaias. The tropical storm. Is that how Isaias? I can't, I'm terrible saying that. But it was the biggest storm to hit Connecticut in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I forget, Al, do you remember what the number of people that were out? Was it like 500,000?
Oh, 700,000 or 800,000.
700,000 or 800,000 people without power.
Yeah.
You lost power immediately.
Well, ours would clip on, clip off, clip on, clip off.
Right, because we're
on a grid with the police department. So we're clip on, clip off. So it was annoying because it kept interrupting my movies.
Oh well. Well, when Laura and I lost power for, I guess we're considered one of the lucky ones. We only lost power for 60 hours.
Yeah.
Went off Tuesday afternoon, came back on Thursday night at 2 a.m. Because I remember waking up and feeling chilly because it was so hot for that time period, and I was chilly because then I opened my eyes and saw that the ceiling fan was going. I went, ah! And I looked and saw my alarm clock was blinking, and I got up and I woke up Lori like, it's Christmas morning.
Yeah, you woke your wife up at 2:30 in the morning.
First thing I told her, I'm going to go flush the toilet.
Okay.
It was exciting news. Michael, do you lose power too?
Not at all. We got very
Oh,
lucky.
I hate you.
And that's good because I had to work from home still.
Yeah.
So we were good. We lost internet for a day though, which made
That's worse than losing power. Yeah. But some people, like our guest Jonathan Ross and his wife Casey, never lost power.
And yet they aren't that far from our friend Lori Poulin, aka Lydia Cleft, who lost her power till yesterday.
For a long, long time.
Yeah, long
and
time.
Al
Almost
lost
until yesterday.
Till yesterday. So that's like almost a full week.
And he lives down the street from Lori.
5 hours short of a whole week.
Yeah.
Just a little bit short of a full week. And Sierra Ridge Arts, our good friends Deb and Jeff Cryan, never lost power.
Well, their power lines are underground.
And they were I got to thank them publicly
Genius.
for what they did. They live less than a mile from us. And Deb and Jeff had room in their freezer. So they let us empty our freezer, put it in there. So we didn't lose any food.
That's good.
Very good. And I was able to use their house to work from home for a couple of days with their air conditioning, which was also really, really, really nice. Yeah. A lot of other things have been happening around here.
A lot.
Our good friend Josh Lusick, who's been on stage, he was here, and Lusak, I always say it wrong. He was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He was in Dining Room. A few other plays over in Naugatuck. He and Lindsay Hallowell got married on the 1st.
They did.
So congratulations
to both of you.
Lindsay Luzak now.
Lindsay Luzak.
Okay. Lori wrote this one down for me. So my personal assistant wrote down all my notes today. Our good friend James Wood is doing better. He's now in rehab after having quintuple bypass.
So
good for him.
We're here for you, Jim.
Yeah.
Shouting it out.
We lost a couple of people this week. Of a former actor that used to appear here at when it was Clockwork Repertoire was Adam Dudkowitz.
Yep.
He passed on. Wilford Brimley. I know. Died at 85. And I have to say he was one. Laura and I have a list of people that when they die were like, I thought they were already gone.
Yeah.
Didn't realize, but he was 85 years old. Of course, everybody remembers Wilford from Cocoon, or those commercials.
He wasn't the Grape Nuts guy, was he?
Was it Grape Nuts? He did the
some cereal
diabetes commercials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I always remember him from the first time I ever saw him was in the movie Absence of Malice. Wow. And he played an old country judge, and he was brilliant in it. And then, of course, I saw him in the Cocoon movies. So that was it.
What's that?
Lori would like to correct you and say that she wrote that he had a quadruple bypass.
I know she did, and I looked it up, and it's a quintuple. So don't.
Oh, never mind. No, she said that. She said.
I know she's always on my case. I know. I got the note right here, and I rewrote over it quintuple because I looked it up. His daughter put it on Facebook that it was supposed to be a quadruple and ended up being a quintuple. And she also wrote down this note that it was a sad note that 3 years ago today, we lost a dear friend in George Paris.
Yes, George passed away 3 years today.
What he used to say, enunciate.
And most of all, have fun.
Enunciate, project, but most of all, have fun.
And Donna, our good friend Donna Storms, always likes to use that one to tell her. When she's directing a play, she likes to use that one.
Project, enunciate, most of all, have fun.
Life as usual here in Phoenix. This is what we are right now. This is the way we're dark basically until 2021.
We are.
Fingers crossed. And that's just the way it is, and that's the way it is throughout Connecticut. Now, I saw this on Facebook, and I have to bring it up because it really shows you what we're up against. There's a community theater in Nebraska. You might have seen this, North Platte Community Playhouse. They were doing a production of Mamma Mia throughout all this, and they just had 24 of the 38 cast members test positive.
Yeah.
And this is why we can't do shows right now. We can protect the audience more or less.
More or less we can.
But we can't protect the actors.
Yeah. But I have to tell you, having just gone through this 3-day dilemma that I went through, I don't want to put anyone through that.
No, it's a horrifying thing.
I don't want to put anyone through that.
Yeah. I mean, It's bad enough for any time you have to get a test to find out what's going to happen, or anytime you discover something with your body that's not right, and you spend time between the time you find it and the time you figure out what it is. Your mind plays all kinds of tricks. Your mind goes to every possible,
and it's the unknown. And I'm going to equate this. So I'm an old guy, right? Like I'm old, and
comparatively.
But I will tell you that what this weight reminded me of was back in the early 80s, 1983, 84, when HIV, AIDS then was just identified, and they were drawing blood on people, and you had to wait.
Right.
And at that time, that was a death sentence.
Sure.
Right. And so I remember having my first blood test drawn in the Navy, because we were drawing blood on everybody.
Right.
And waiting to find out.
How long?
We did them, so it was 48 hours, about 48 hours.
That's still a long time.
But back then, we didn't know how it was transmitted, right? We didn't know how it was transmitted.
Yeah.
And I worked in healthcare. So
I know, right.
So there was this really intense fear of that.
Yeah.
We know shortly after that knew so much more about that. But this was kind of like that for me. I was sick. I wasn't feeling well.
Yep.
I didn't have all the symptoms that everybody talks about, but I learned you don't have to have all the symptoms.
Right.
It's going to hit people differently. That fear was palpable. And I would not want to put anyone through that. I wouldn't want to put anyone through that. And I don't want anyone in here when someone starts coughing and then everybody has a panic.
Yeah. No, I appreciate
so
that.
it's it is going to be a difficult climb for all of us.
We do appreciate the fact that by testing negative, you help keep our positivity rate down. So go for Connecticut.
That's right. Go Connecticut.
Go Connecticut.
Go Litchfield County.
So this is a lot of heavy stuff we're throwing at everybody
so
about the COVID-19 and about the big storm and everything, but we're here.
We're here.
We're
and
back here.
We have some birthdays.
We do have some birthdays.
Today is Evan Sturmer's 10th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Evan Sturmer.
I still remember when his mom told me that she was expecting.
Evan loves it when people sing happy birthday to him. So if you're out there and you know Kathy or Kevin, you can video yourself on your phone singing happy birthday to Evan and send it to him. They'll play it for him.
Better yet, call it. Wait till about 11 o'clock at night and then call him.
No bueno.
No.
No,
I think it'd be great to wake up the kids and say, hey, somebody wants to sing happy birthday.
No, but you're also waking up mom and dad and they both work. No, it's no bueno.
Well, that's why I know.
Tomorrow is John Dressel's birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday, John Dressel. Dan Koch will be celebrating on Saturday.
Wow, that's great.
Nina Paganucci.
Oh, I have such a soft spot in my head for her.
Me too.
Or heart.
In your heart.
In my heart and my head. She was in the first play I directed.
Oh.
Yeah. So I love Nina.
Yeah.
Miss her, Tremere. She's
a grown woman now.
Oh no, don't say that.
She's a grown woman.
I know she is, but it's still hard.
Yeah. So happy birthday, everyone out there. If we missed anyone, we're sorry.
Yeah.
Tim wasn't very good at hunting up birthdays today. He was being
I was a little scared.
he was stressed. And on the 16th of July, it was my sister's birthday.
Oh, happy really belated birthday.
Yeah. So I know that she's watching, and I get her mixed up with my other sister all the time. I'm sorry. So I kept you younger for a month.
Well, there you go. See, that's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Now, speaking of Nina, over the years, you've seen a lot of children actors that you taught or directed as children have grown up now.
They're all adults.
And some have actually gone on to Broadway.
Yes.
And that's great news for them and great to see. It's still every now and then on our computer, like pictures from the old Thomas and Opera House picnics will show up from 10, 15 years ago.
Or longer.
And
it would be longer than that, Tim. We've been here 10 years.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
like when Michael
20 years ago.
Before Michael could drink legally.
20 years ago, I would have been 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm depressed now.
Yeah. So Tim,
but anyway, we have a theme. We don't have a theme. We have a guest.
We do have a theme that we're going to talk about, and I have a whole bunch of information to share.
Okay, so what we're discussing tonight is 133 Main. That's the address here. Through the years, and our guest is our good friend Jonathan Ross, who has been an actor long time.
A long time.
Also, Lydia will be back. We're bringing back Lydia, yay.
Yep.
She got her power back, and she will be here to answer questions. And we'll also be playing jargon gymnastics.
Indeed.
Or jargon gymnastics.
Jargon gymnastics. If
and
you're feeling
we'll,
gassy like Michael.
Then we both have good news for tonight.
We do have some good news for tonight.
So tell me about 133 Main.
So 133 Main, which is the building that we're sitting in, hasn't always been a theater. It was built in the 1930s, and it was built as a recreation center for the Pin Shop Factory, which is the big factory that's down on the other end of our parking lot. And upstairs was a basketball court. That's where we are now. It's still the original floor underneath us. It's painted.
Oh, this was the original.
This is the basketball court floor. Yeah.
Nice.
And actually behind where the theater lights are on the side are auditorium lights, and behind the cloth fabric there are windows up there.
Oh,
that look out. So it looked like an old basketball court with the big frosted windows
kind
way
of
up
like
high
an
on the wall.
Old YMCA kind of
an
thing.
old YMCA, exactly.
Okay.
And downstairs
Right.
was a gymnasium, like weights and all of that. And our small prop room was a shower.
Okay.
The whole room was
All
a
right.
shower. So when you go in there and you look up, there's an old radiator on the ceiling.
Yes.
And there's a drain on
There's
the
a
floor.
drain below, right?
Yeah. So that
I always wondered about why that radiator was on the ceiling.
because those were the showers. Yeah, that was the shower room.
Okay.
Yep. And then in the 1940s, this room became a movie theater called the Community Theater.
And we could still see that's where those.
And they built the booth at that point.
The booth at that point, and there's a couple movies.
So they built the
projector screen.
The projector booth up there. That is our technical booth.
Yeah.
It was later sold to another family, and it became the Oak Theater. And that's the signage that we have pictures of and all of that stuff.
Right.
The basement level then became a bowling alley.
Wow.
And that floor remains down there.
That is duck pin.
Duck pin bowling downstairs.
Because I've seen the pins.
Yes.
There's still a couple of the pins. And the cages are still there, right?
There are some of the cages still in the back.
And we've actually had patrons here who worked as children.
They worked as pin boys.
Pin boys.
As pin boys.
Because there was no automatic setters.
Right.
So
you had to be 11.
the ball, they rolled the ball down, they knocked down the pins.
And there were these rails that the pin boys would sit on down by the cages.
Right.
And then after the ball was thrown, they would send the ball back up, and then they would reset the pins quickly because the older guys would try to hit them with the balls while they were doing that. But they would carve their initials and their names into those rails, and we still have some of those rails down there, which is really interesting.
Yep.
Around 1952, St. Mary Magdalene Church across the street burned down.
Right.
I believe it was a lightning strike, and so the church held mass here while they were building a new church across the street.
Okay.
And then when that was complete, then this became a nightclub called The Cage with a K, because they had cages hanging from the ceiling with go-go girls.
So this is in the 60s then?
The 60s into the 70s, yeah.
And that's about the time for go-go.
Yeah, and then
I
at
wish there were no pictures
some
from
point in there, we'll find out the years from Jonathan, because I don't know the years.
Yeah.
There was a small theater downstairs in our green room.
Yep.
And the Oakville Players or the Oak Players performed shows down there. And in the 1970s, this then upstairs became a karate studio. There's still some holes in the walls. When we first moved in, we had some volunteers from Webster Bank come.
Yes, I remember.
And they helped us out. They painted. And one of the guys that came as a volunteer took karate here.
Is that right?
He was telling me some of these holes are from our class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then in 1977, Harold and Susan Pantley moved in, and it became Clockwork.
And they named it after...
Well, Clockwork Repertory Theater came from originally Harold and Susan ran the Thomaston Opera House.
Oh, okay.
In the early 70s, doing summer stock.
Right.
And then right around 76, 77, the town decided they wanted to take it over.
Oh.
And so Harold and Susan moved out of there, took all their stuff and moved out of there and found their way here.
And the Clockwork basically comes from Thomaston at the time was
the Clock Tower.
The Clock Tower, and West Clocks was a big company there. My mom worked for that company.
The Clock Tower at the Opera House. So that's where they got their name, Clockwork Repertory Theater. Right. And they did shows in repertory as summer stock.
And so then it became Clockwork, and it stayed that way until they retired.
Right, 38 years.
And then we moved in.
And we moved in. That's right. So the building has a lot of history.
I wish there were some pictures of some of these places like the Cage.
I would, you know, I ask all the time when patrons come in and say, I saw War of the Worlds here, you know, when it first came out, or I saw Gone with the Wind here, and I asked them, you know, what did it look like in here? What were the colors? I wanted to know the colors of the fabric, and they all say the same thing. It was dark in here.
Yeah, well, it was a movie theater.
It was dark in here. They never looked up.
Yeah, right.
You know, they were young.
Well,
they were kids.
That's why there's no pictures, because nobody comes in and takes pictures of these things.
So we are always looking for historical photographs of the building, of things that were happening inside, whether it be the karate class, karate studio, the basketball court, anything. So I'm always putting it out there for folks because we'd love to do a display.
I think of the Cage and those cages hanging. I picture red velvet on the walls for some reason.
Yeah, it didn't last long because it had a bad reputation.
I can't understand why.
There were a lot of fights and things apparently. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the history of the building, and our friend Jonathan has been on stage in all 3 companies that have been housed here.
That's a very rare thing. And it'd be hard to find anyone else. In fact, I don't think there is anybody else who has done all that.
It's true. And so I think it's time for us to bring Jonathan on,
I think we should.
So our guest, Jonathan Ross, was most recently seen in our Voices for Phoenix virtual monologue events. He was part of the first Phoenix production, playing Decker in Bleacher Bums, all the way down in Naugatuck. Other roles with Phoenix include Owen in The Foreigner, the Sheriff of Nottingham in Sherwood, The Adventures of Robin Hood, Sherlock Holmes in Baskerville, Gene Zerwicki in Cops, and the flamboyant real estate agent, an overbearing father at breakfast, an architect with his own agenda, a 7-year-old trying to hold it, a handyman under a table with a client, a man having an affair caught by his lover's son, and an elderly man making plans for his own funeral in the dining room. Yes, Michael, he was in the dining room. Jonathan Ross is here with us tonight.
Hello.
Hello, Jonathan.
How are you?
We're good. We're good.
That's good to hear. Good to hear that you're feeling well, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad I'm feeling a little better too.
Yes, that was quite an extensive list of just Phoenix
and
shows.
Yeah, and that doesn't even cover them all. There were a lot of one acts in there and a lot of other things that weren't included in that bunch.
Safe to say you died pretty well in some Phoenix shows over the years.
I bled a lot in one particular.
Bled a lot, yes. In Cops, I especially remember you had to lie on the floor and bleed for quite some time.
Bleed. We had this ingenious little bleeding apparatus that Dan Willie hooked up for us, and he had to lay there without falling asleep because he had to moan at particular times. So
yeah, that was probably one of the most difficult things, is to not fall asleep, lie there and pretend to be dead. So this way the audience wasn't exactly sure what was going on and everything. And yes, still listen for the cue so I could moan.
You know, our friend Artemis went through that with the Civil War one we did. Rebel Yells, thank you. And I have to ask Jonathan, what goes through your mind in a situation like that?
Anything and everything. Actually, you spend most of your time concentrating on the dialogue that's being said. Because if you don't and you sort of fade away in what you're thinking of, then you lose track and you go, oh my God, did I miss it? Did I miss my moan? Oh no, where are they? Where are they? So really, while you're lying there, you do focus in on the dialogue being said.
Almost as much as any other time on stage, and probably even more so, I would think.
I would think even more so, and then hoping your nose doesn't itch.
Yes, that's true too. and I assume you found like a comfortable way to lie there, because obviously you're going to be there for some time.
Not always. It all depended on how I fell. Oh. Once in a while, my leg or arm would be in an awkward position. And, you know, after 10 minutes of a 20-minute lie there, you're going, oh my God, I'm starting to cramp up. This is not comfortable.
That's when you wait for the moan so you can move a little.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, you had a body twitch there.
Totally adjust yourself as you moan. Yes.
Now, Jonathan, I'm dying to hear about the show you did downstairs.
Downstairs. So what year was that?
The first show that I did 5 shows for them between 1977 and 1978. Okay. The first one was Gingerbread Lady by Neil Simon. I had only done theater in school, at high school and college. I never really thought about community theater. And a friend of mine, Sue Lincoln, that I knew from Naugatuck High School Drama Club, called me and asked me if she was producer for this production of Gingerbread Lady. And she asked me if I was still interested in theater. And I, hadn't really thought about it, but I went along and got cast. And so that was the first show that I did for them. I also did Butterflies Are Free, Green Julia, How the Other Half Loves, and I'm forgetting what the other one was. Nope. But the interesting thing about doing the shows down there is obviously it's a very tiny space.
Right.
It is now the green room for the theater. Back in the day, as you walked in the door from the alleyway, and yes, the audience came down the alleyway, they didn't come in some other way to get to the theater. They had a little ticket booth to the left. What is now the women's dressing room was a concession stand.
Okay.
The pass-through area that we now go from the green room to start going upstairs where there are costumes hanging, that was the tech booth. And what is the laundry room now, that area is what was the green room for the theater. And the vast majority of shows were done with that area as you walk in being the lobby, and then the entire area to the left, which was painted black, was the stage area. Although they did set things up a couple different ways. During Green Julia, it was more or less set up in the corner. So you had like one row of chairs on one side, and then you had 3 rows of chairs coming out this way. And the performers, myself and Jay Anthony, we were in the corner. And Butterflies Are Free was interesting because we did it in the round. And so pretty much the audience formed the walls of the apartment. And so they were entirely around us.
Cool.
That's very cool, yeah.
About how many seats, Jonathan?
If I remember correctly, probably about 40 people.
Okay.
I think that's about what our capacity was. Obviously, it was even smaller than Phoenix's original house in house size.
Thomas
there, you had like 75.
Yeah, we were 70, about 75.
We were 70 in Naugatuck.
Yeah. So
okay.
about,
Well, that makes that the smallest theater that I've ever worked in with a seating capacity.
Yeah. What was the theater company? It was Oak?
It was called the Oak Players, right? Or the Oakville Players?
They were known as Oakville Players, and they also did shows at Swift Junior High School. Because like when we would have the kids show, that's the other show they did with them. The Magic Apple was a kids show, and those were done at Swift Junior High School. They, if I'm not mistaken, Oakville Players attempted to take over the upstairs when the gym or the karate school went out of business. But unfortunately, they attempted to do that at a time when their membership numbers were kind of low.
Right.
A number of people that were previously associated with Oakville Players, myself, Wayne Stitzer, Joe Budris, a bunch of others, we started working for Southbury Playhouse and Colonial Tavern Dinner Theater.
Oh, I remember Southbury Playhouse. That was a summer stock theater, right?
Yes. Yes, Tom Littleton.
It was a tent, basically. Is that right?
What's that?
It was a tent, right?
Oh no, it was a barn.
Yeah, it was a barn.
That's right.
If you drive into Southbury now, they have Playhouse Corners,
right?
Which is a mall because that's where the Playhouse used to be.
That's where the Playhouse was. Yes, the Playhouse is.
I remember it was basically a summer stock theater, but they did a lot of shows too.
Yeah, they did 12 shows in 13 weeks for the summer stock theater, and then during the remainder of the year, they went down the road to the Colonial Tavern and they did a dinner theater setup.
I did not know that. Colonial Tavern.
And so there were a number of people that were previously associated with Oakville Players that had moved on and started working for Tom Littleton at the Playhouse and the dinner theater. And so their membership was at a little bit of a low ebb when they attempted to take over the upstairs, and it just didn't last.
Right.
And I think that was around the time that it was either the basketball court or the karate school.
It was the karate studio then.
Yeah. So then fast forward to when did you start doing?
Go about 10 years. Around 1986 was when I started working for Clockwork, working for Herald. Actually, one of the things people are aware of, I've told them this, I've known Harold for over 50 years. I actually met Harold when I was in 8th grade. I used to occasionally get him as a substitute teacher in junior high school. So that's how long I've known Harold.
Yeah.
I started doing shows there in about 1986. And oddly enough, the first show that I did was one you just did recently. Pink Panther Strikes Again. I played Chief Inspector Dreyfus.
Oh, wow.
And Clockwork's production of it. The different thing about doing shows in that space for Clockwork was, of course, in the beginning and up till just recently, the upstairs was never air conditioned. So they never ran year round. They only ran in the fall and the spring. And so they didn't do shows in the summer because it was just unbearably hot. And then, of course, in the winter, because of the big space upstairs, it was so expensive to heat the upstairs that one of the main differences between Phoenix now and Clockwork is what is now the green room, what was the stage door theater. That was essentially the rehearsal space. All the shows were always rehearsed downstairs, and we didn't move upstairs till Tech Week, probably.
You know, I did a show here for Clockwork in 2001, and I think even back then, it was the same
still,
idea.
I think
you rehearse downstairs.
One of the reasons why we rehearse up here is because we were doing so many more shows.
Yeah.
We always had 2 shows going on at once, and so to try and rehearse downstairs was difficult for us.
Yes.
So it made sense for us to rehearse upstairs and just keep the heat at a constant temperature and not try to turn it up and down. It worked out better for us that way.
I seem to recall too, it was Hell Week would be the first time to be on the stage once the set was built.
Yeah.
I think the only show that I've rehearsed downstairs since Phoenix took over, I think, was the dining room. We started the rehearsal.
We did, yeah. We rehearsed Almost Maine down there, parts of Almost Maine, and then the dining room, and that's because we had another show rehearsing up here.
Right.
We were doing double rehearsals.
Harold lightened up too a bit on that as Clockwork did better, because post 2000 and years that I was involved with Clockwork, it was a few weeks prior that he brought people up rather than the final weeks.
Depending
Well, and it
it
also depended on the number of shows, because he could build sets sooner if you weren't doing shows back to back.
And back then, Jonathan, when I did the show in 2001, it was just a Friday and Saturday night. Is that correct?
Yep. That's all I ever remember.
No midweek.
Saturday nights.
And that was so scary for me, because the one show I did, I had a great deal of lines. I was relatively new in the business, and to go from Saturday night to the following Friday night without any rehearsal kind of freaked me out. And you arrive on Friday night and just hope everybody else is ready to go too, but everybody was. Yeah, it was a little different. About how many shows, Jonathan, did you do
for Clockwork? I think I did maybe about a dozen different shows.
Okay.
I worked with people like Casey Morris and Stephen Rice. I worked with Michael's father, John Calabrese.
Oh, that's good.
I worked with Kristen McBennett. So those are a few of the people that I worked with under Harold. Like I said, I think I did about a dozen shows for him.
And then you kind of migrated a little bit down to New Milford, did a lot of stuff with Theater Works New Milford with the Pettibones.
Milford, yeah. I've done probably over 30 shows for New Milford.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Very heavily figures in. I did a lot of shows there, number one, because they were doing material that other theaters weren't doing. So
they're a nice small theater, and they can do that kind of stuff.
So, Jonathan, what's the hardest, most difficult, most challenging role you've ever done?
Oh God. Possibly one of them, I would say, would be Butterflies Are Free.
Love that show.
where I played Don Baker, the blind boy, and it was most difficult because that was one of the shows that I did downstairs under the auspices of the Stage Door Theater. Because as I said before, essentially the audience formed the walls of the apartment. Mm-hmm. And so people were not social distancing, let's put it that way.
Right, they were right on top of you.
Walls of the apartment, and so we performed around there. And the character that I played, Don Baker, was blind.
And played guitar, right?
What's that?
Didn't he? And you played. He had to play guitar, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it. At one point, I had to play the guitar, and because the audience was so close, we couldn't fake it. Yeah. So I learned to play this one song on the guitar, and because I'm blind, I can't look to see if my fingering is correct.
Right.
So I pick up the guitar, hold the fingering, and just say, "Dear God, I hope that this is right." And
yeah.
Well, there's tricks to that. I can tell you that is, for someone to play guitar long, if you really, really need it, you can put a little notch in the neck of the guitar so you can feel your fingers can feel where they are. Because you can't get away, especially when an audience is right on top of you. You can't. Well, you had to play
the violin.
The violin.
Oh, I tried. I said, "Oh, I'll learn it. I'll learn it in time for the violin's very hard." Yes. No, so we did it in a silhouette, and I pretended.
Yeah, because some things you just can't. You don't want to hear somebody play the guitar or violin badly. Did that ever cause problems for you when you're trying to play that?
No. Got through it as best I could, and
they gave you a nice 3-chord song, and said, there you go.
That show obviously was very early in my theatrical endeavors. For recent shows, I'd probably have to say playing the twin brothers, John and James Jekyll, in Love, Valor, Compassion. The challenge of doing the 2 roles simultaneously within the confines of the one show. That I would say is the other difficult role to play that I've had.
And is there a role that you would want to play again? Is there something you've done that you would like to do again?
Well, one show that I love doing, and I will do it again if there's a production in the area, is the chairman in The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Just simply because it's such a fun show to do.
Well, that's on your list, right?
It is on it's been on our list for a very long time.
Yeah. It's one of those shows that there really is no ending, because Charles Dickens, who wrote the book, died before he finished writing. So there is no ending. Yeah. And the hook of the musical version of it is the audience decides how the show is going to end every night.
Right.
And by the various permutations of possibilities, there's over 600 possible endings to the show.
Right.
So it's just such a fun show to do.
Sure.
Other than that, if I redo a show, I tend to play a different part, like you had mentioned.
See, I would give my eye tooth to see you play Judge Turpin again in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Well, I that would be a part I would be up for doing again. I would be up for Turpin again. But otherwise, shows like you had mentioned, I played Owen in The Foreigner. That's actually the 4th time I've done that show. First time I did it, I played Charlie Baker. Second time I played Reverend David. Third time I directed it. Now this past time I played Owen. I figure I've got to do the show again so I could play Froggy.
Yeah, there you go. There's one more left there.
I'm a bit long on the tooth.
We don't want you to play Betty as much as we like that. But I don't think we want you to play Betty in that one.
No, Betty. How about bucket list show, Jonathan? Anything? Bucket list.
Oh, probably Dysart in Equus.
Oh.
Or either Sir or Norman in The Dresser.
Oh, good choice.
Excellent show.
I gotta also mention too, you talked about how creepy he was as Judge Turpin. Almost as creepy as Uncle Albert in Tommy of Thomas.
Oh, creepy.
You were so creepy.
Fiddle about.
Oh my. I gotta ask you, Jonathan, you really do run the gamut. You like playing the dramatic roles. You do comedy. You like doing musicals. You like doing standard plays.
Thank you for not saying straight plays.
Standard plays. Is any one of those a favorite of yours, or do you just whatever you're in the mood for at the time?
No real preference. It depends upon the show itself. I mean, I don't have a preference. I do enjoy when you do a standard show, because you really don't get them in musicals. I do playing characters that are real and believable.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows that I actually directed the stage reading of it at Phoenix was The Irish Curse.
Oh, yes.
I had done that 2 times prior, once playing the priest, which you played for me in the stage reading. And the second time I did it, I played Joe Flaherty. And I like that sort of show because the characters are very real. They're not caricatures, they're believable, real people. And the humor comes out of the situation and the natural dialogue.
Right.
So that sort of play I really enjoy. But then again, I also enjoy the over the top silly farces as well.
Sure. Michael too was also, let's point that out there. Michael was in your stage reading, which was actually the last thing on the stage.
The night that Broadway was announced to be shut down was the night we did that stage reading.
Yeah, that was the first and only stage reading of our 2020 season.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be every month.
Series of stage readings, but we'll get back to it. We will get back to it.
Jonathan, you've been all over the state too, right? I mean, you like obviously those big theaters which you mentioned before, but you've traveled to pretty much anywhere to do a show. Right?
Oh yeah, I've done some shows back in the day down south in Bridgeport at Polka Dot Playhouse. I've done things out at Danbury, musicals in Rector Park, Sherman Playhouse up in Sherman. For a while when it was still in existence, I did several shows up at Coach Light Dinner Theater in East Windsor.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been all over the place doing shows. It depends upon what comes up. The odd thing is that for many of those theaters and shows, I never auditioned for them. I got there usually quite often by a reference of somebody like Coach Light Dinner Theater. I never auditioned for them. They needed an actor last minute and they were desperate, and it just so happened there was somebody in the show who knew me and said, well, I know this guy. Let me give him a call and we'll see what happens. And that has been the case in more than one instance. People don't realize, I think, that it's okay, and one thing to be very talented, but there are other factors that come into play in being an actor. One is reliability, another is availability, another is how well you work with other people.
Sure.
And the other thing is matching up of people. I mean, you could be perfect for a particular role in a particular play, but if the director doesn't have somebody that will work opposite you, even though you're perfect for the part, you don't get cast.
Right.
Because they don't have somebody that will work opposite you. There's
And
so many
that's one of the most
into play.
Yeah, that's one of the most difficult things when it comes to auditions. When you have people that come to auditions and they're disappointed, they don't understand why they didn't get into a show because they know that they aced the audition and they're perfect for the role.
Yep.
But again, if we can't match them with someone else that auditioned or with someone else that's available, then we can't create that believable demographic on the stage. Yeah. And so that's difficult. It is.
How about directing, Jonathan? How much time have you spent directing?
Not too much. Not too much. It's not a big driving force, but once in a while I do get the bug, as with Irish Curse. I directed that. I mentioned also that one of my encounters with The Foreigner was I directed a production of it. Also earlier when we were still in the Naugatuck location, I directed I Hate Hamlet, that we weren't supposed to be doing. It was supposed to have been Death Trap.
We were in rehearsal. We were in rehearsal for Death Trap when we got a letter that they were we lost the rights because they were moving it to Broadway, which it never did.
Which it never did.
They never. Yeah, it was a London production that might go to Broadway. Yeah. And you know how a little 70-seat theater in Naugatuck is such a threat to Broadway.
Yeah.
Is that like one of the shows? If you were given the chance, you would try that again to direct?
That's one. Although that's also one that I would love to act in as well.
Sure.
I would love to play the part that Michael Caine played in the movie version.
The movie, yeah. It's a brilliant script.
Okay, so we need to move to our next segment really quickly,
Yes,
right?
we do.
Because we're getting up there in time.
Well,
and
that's
so
what happened. I knew
it
this was gonna
happened. This
happen with
is a
Jonathan.
great. This is great. So, Jonathan, we're going to have you just kind of hold tight, right?
Okay.
If you could just stay with us for a bit, we're going to bring our friend Lydia on. It's time for our friend Lydia Cleft to join us all the way from Northfield, Minnesota for her questions. Lydia, are you there? I don't know why I went Irish right there. Lydia, you're there.
You're there, Lydia.
Well, yes, I am. Thanks for asking.
Hi, how are you, Lydia?
Oh, she's from the Irish part of Minnesota.
Yeah, she's
Well, I figured we were going in that direction, so I'm a team player.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. She's got the lights back on there up in Northfield.
I do. Oh my goodness. It wasn't fun, fellas.
No.
Oh.
No, I mean, a person can just do so much, reflecting and inner thoughts and stuff. It's just, I don't have that many.
Yeah.
Oh.
it's-
I know after a couple hours you're done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 So,
That's out.
so Lydia, we have some questions for you this week.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Tim, you go first.
Okay, I got this question. So, dear Lydia, as if the pandemic wasn't enough, we went through 3 full days without power because of that tropical storm. My family and I all survived. We managed to cook a lot of food so it wouldn't spoil. The problem is, without power and without the internet, it seems like our only choices over those 72 hours was to eat something or stare at each other by candlelight and try to think of something to say to each other. The end result is we all put on some extra weight, and now that the internet is back, our kids are glued to their phones and video games, and my husband is glued to the sports on TV. My first question is this bad? For the first time in days, everyone is getting along. And my second question is, what wine goes with Fruit Loops? Asking for a friend. Signed, Sick of 2020, Waterville.
Wow. Well, let me just say, boo-hoo, I was out for 6 days. So, 3 days, that's a cakewalk for me. But anyways, what did you say about what lime goes with
What
Fruit
wine? Wine. Wine. W-I-N-E.
Wine. Oh, I'm not drinking enough of that. Okay. So the question is, what wine goes with Fruit Loops? And that was a really long question. And what was the other part?
Is it okay that they're now that the family's the kids are just playing their games and they're on their phone and her husband's watching sports and she likes it? Is that a problem?
Oh, that is so not a problem. That's why all those things were invented, to keep you happy, my friend. Yeah, I missed all my devices too, so I couldn't wait to get back on them. I'm telling you, I was jonesing for my iPad. So no, that's not a bad thing at all. If they each have something to keep them happy and out of your hair for 10 minutes, go for it. Don't worry about it. Now, the wine and the Fruit Loops, it would depend on what season.
So, okay.
If you're gonna eat your Fruit Loops like out on your porch in the summertime, you wanna have a nice white sangria, because you're gonna have fruit in the sangria that's gonna mirror the Fruit Loops.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So that makes a very nice pairing. And then if it's winter time and you're sitting around the fire pit, I find that a nice hard cider, maybe warm it up a little bit. You can float some of those Fruit Loops on top. There you go.
Oh, wow, that's
winter beverage.
Wow.
That did just happen.
That's very great. I'll tell my friend, that person.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Are you ready for your second question?
Oh, sure. I hope it's not that long, though.
Dear Lydia, do you like grape jelly? Signed, a sucker for a pucker in Northfield.
Oh, yeah. Grape jelly has its good places and its bad places. Grape jellies always go-to for your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know a guy that he makes his peanut butter and jelly with strawberry jam, and it's just not right. But, to each his own. So, yeah. I'd say grape jellies, that's okay. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. The
That's-
sucker for a pucker has something in common with Lydia. That'll make her happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lydia, we haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. It's been a little bit crazy, right?
It feels like forever.
It's been 3 weeks since we've seen you
Just
because of
about
our
forever.
power problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you been working on anything to share with us tonight?
Well, yeah, like I said, I was doing some reflecting.
Okay.
And I was remembering some things, and you get kind of sad and you get kind of down when you don't have power and you can't play on your devices. There's just so many weeds you can pick in your garden. So, I remembered when I used to get sad as a kid that my mom used to give me this pep talk. And I believe that it's something that her mom said to her and that I passed on to my kid.
Okay.
So I would like to share this with you.
Oh, that's
It's
good.
something like when you're feeling down, I think this really, makes you feel a little bit happier.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it goes like this. Somebody once told me the world is going to roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on. Get paid. All that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now. Wait till you get older. But the meteor men beg to differ. Judging by the hole in the satellite picture, the ice we skate is getting pretty thin. The water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire. How about yours? That's the way I like it. I never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on. Get paid. All that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. Somebody once asked, could I spare some change for gas? I need to get myself away from this place. I said, yep. What a concept. I could use a little fuel myself. And we could all use a little change. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Brain gets smart, your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. Go? You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold.
Oh, what great advice from your mom.
It's great advice. It's long advice. Someone should put that to music.
I was trying to keep up with that long question.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Some long advice right there.
Right?
Oh my, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're a rock star.
You
to
are.
us.
You're an
Aw.
all-star.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
Lydia, we're going to ask you to hold on.
Yeah,
and
hold
we'll-
on, Lydia. We're going to bring our friend back, Jonathan.
Oh, how exciting.
Jonathan. There he is. Oh, and
Oh,
he's
and you
joined
got
by
Casey,
Casey.
right?
A friend.
Do you
Hi.
guys have a question for our friend Lydia Cleft from Northfield?
Yeah, we do. I do have one question since she's such an expert in theater procedures and etiquette. Two of the shows that I mentioned, Equus and Love, Valor, Compassion, contain nudity. What advice would you give to someone if you're in a show and it involves nudity?
Well, even before the pandemic, I would put in that 6-foot rule. Because, you know, you don't want to bump into anything that's not, you know, part of your props, I guess you'd call it. So, yeah, so I would say I would just give them their distance, let them have their own space. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just polite.
It kind of brings to mind that theater rule: if it's not yours, don't touch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
It does. Lydia, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
You're welcome.
We really, 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 really appreciate it. Good night, Lydia.
Bye, everybody.
Ooh. I think we threw her a curve with that. Jonathan threw her a curve with
Yeah,
that.
that was a great question.
Ooh, she got really a little red there.
Yeah. Hey, you know what it's time for?
It's time. Is it time for jargon?
Jargon gymnastics or jargon if you're gassy. So, Jonathan, we're going to play this game with you.
Okay.
We know that you've seen this game before. You've been in our audience while we've played it. And Tim, explain the game and tell them what language we're going
to give you 3 words in a foreign language. And we'll give you 3 possible definitions. And your job is to get, you and Casey are going to work together as a team. To get 2 out of 3 right, you're going to win the game. Now, since you are such a classical actor, Jonathan, we decided to go with Latin.
Oh, great.
Oh, boy.
Because although my wife suggested Klingon, and I said, no, he probably knows every Klingon word there is.
Kapla, that's about it.
Kapla, yeah, I got you that one there. Yeah.
Ach, tach, bech.
Yes, to be or not to
Yes.
be. Okay, so we have 3 Latin words here, and we're going to give you 3 possible definitions for each one. Your first word is zoilist.
Zoilist.
Zoilist. Z-O-I-L-I-S-T. Is a zoilist 1, a person who plays the zoila, an ancient lute-like instrument with 27 strings made of goat gut? 2, is a zoilist someone who takes joy in finding fault in everything? Or is it number 3, the title of a person who makes up the names of the punching sounds seen on 1960s Batman TV series?
Well, I don't remember Adam West in any of that, so I don't think it's the Batman. I think it would be maybe number 2.
Number 2, that is correct.
That's what I was going to say.
Who takes joy? Good job, Casey, convincing him to take that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there. Someone who takes joy in finding fault in everything. Very good. Here's your next word. It's habromania. H-A-B-R-O mania. Is habromania 1, the affliction of only being able to find happiness when playing with a Hasbro My Little Pony figure?
Oh, that's close to what I thought.
Is it number 2, a person who is a huge Montreal Canadiens fan? Note that the Canadians are also known as les habitants. Or number 3, a person suffering from delusions of happiness, for example, that 2020 might be over tomorrow.
What do you think? This one's for you.
I'm not up on my French or my Latin or my Klingon, so I'm going to say number 3.
Number 3, that is correct. You got it right. Wow, they're working well as a team.
It is.
They haven't argued once on one of these questions.
20 years of marriage.
That's
You
good.
know,
We won the game. Let's see if we can get the clean
almost
sweep.
21, yes.
Your final word is lacuna. L-A-C-U-N-A.
Lacuna or Lasuna?
Lacuna. Lacuna.
Lacuna. Matata.
Ed.
Is lacuna number 1 only halfway to achieving bliss? In other words, no matata. Number 2, a unique fish that when stuck in one's ear allows that person to speak fluent Latin. Or number 3, a blank space or a missing part.
Well, I think number 2 would be a Babel fish.
Yeah.
I told you he would know it.
that.
I told you he would know that
And
one.
where's your towel? Number
Yes, do you have-
42.
Do you have your tea towel?
I always keep my towel with me at all times.
Very good.
Good.
Very good. Number 3. Number 3.
Number 3 is correct.
Wow.
Wow, 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
Number 2, I always say Babelfish, but you're right, it's Babelfish.
Babelfish.
And that is actually from
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if you've not seen that movie, please watch it. It's
Or the
fabulous.
books
Great.
are even
The book
better.
is- the book is-
Watch the mini series.
miniseries,
The best. The best.
I love the 4th book of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Which is So Long and Thanks for All
So
the Fish.
long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah.
The 4th book of the trilogy.
Yes.
British humor.
Yeah.
There we go.
So-
So anyway, congratulations.
Congratulations,
to all three of you.
you've won.
What have they won?
So you guys have already won your masks.
They got
so
masks and they have
you're
these
gonna
things.
you're gonna win 2 more of the Theater Strong Phoenix Stage Company bracelets and
One for each cat.
and
Uh,
free lifetime endless popcorn at Phoenix Stage Company.
Yay!
There you go.
Oh wow, that's great.
It's great.
They've already won everything. So what do you
It's
know?
true. It's true. It's true. It's true.
Well, Jonathan and Casey, it's been so great having you. Well, Casey, just shortly, just a little bit here. But Jonathan, so great having you on our show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both for all the shows you've ever done and for all the time you spent here volunteering at Phoenix. We love having you. We can't wait to have you guys back here again.
That's true.
We look
It's
forward
true.
to being back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ladies
Thank
and
you.
gentlemen,
Thank you.
Jonathan Ross, Casey
everybody.
Ross. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, they are great people. They went with us. We did a trip last year together up to Ticonderoga to the Star Trek. There's a place up there that Star Trek Experience, I think it's called. They actually recreated the Desilu studios from Hollywood from the 1960s, so the entire original series of Star Trek, and it's amazing.
That's pretty
to see.
amazing. That's pretty amazing.
It was. Jonathan always says, "I wish I had a camera to take a picture of your face when you walked onto the bridge." It's the last thing they show you, and the door opens up from the turbo lift, and yeah, but you don't hear that part. You just hear.
But you got to go. Shh.
Yeah, that's what we were doing on the side, and then you saw the whole bridge with all the lights and everything going on. It just took my breath away because I mean I grew up on that show. That was wonderful. So it was they're great people. We love spending time with them. They're so much fun to work with.
It is time for some good news.
It is time for some good news.
It's time for some good news.
We're due for some good news. I think after the last couple of weeks we've had, we are definitely due for some good news.
We are.
Yep.
We are. Do you want to share your good news first?
Sure. This is something I actually found online. Actually, I think I got an email about it and I sent it to it. There's a theater in Boston called the Huntington Theater. It's a professional theater. And like everybody else, they're shut down. But they managed to find a way to do something different. They contacted 4 playwrights and they wrote a series of 4 micro plays. These are plays that are only like 5 to 7 minutes. They're strictly audio plays. And they basically were, the theme that they were giving is, we want to see what life is going to be like after COVID. So place it about a year, maybe 2 years in the future, and have it happen around Boston. And I listened to all 4 of these micro plays, and I actually contacted a couple of the authors because they moved me so much. It was usually 1 or 2 actors, a little bit of sound effects behind them, but you could picture everything they were doing. These are such well-written plays. The series is called Dream Boston, and you can find it on the huntingtontheater.org website. I definitely recommend to listen to these 4 plays. They will knock your socks off.
That is good news.
It was great to see something different that's positive about what the state of theater in our world.
It's true. Yep. Now, so my good news, we all miss going out. We all miss things like movie theaters and theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, AMC movie theaters are going to be opening up on August 20th. They're going to be opening a number of their theaters across the country.
Right.
This is their 100th anniversary, AMC.
I did not know that.
Yes, AMC movie theaters. It's their 100th anniversary. So on August 20th, they're offering movie tickets for 15 cents.
Get out.
Which was the price of their movie tickets in the 1920s when they first started.
And we do have some AMC around here.
We do have AMC, and they're going back to their old catalog. So they're going to be playing movies like, let's see, Ghostbusters,
Nice.
Black Panther, Back to the Future, Grease, The Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
Some of the older movies. So for 15 cents, they're limiting the number of people that can go into the theater.
Absolutely.
They're adhering to all of the COVID guidelines.
Yep.
So that's on August 20th. For 15 cents, you can go see one of their older catalog movies at AMC movie theater.
And no matter what movie that you like, and these are all classic movies. We've all seen them a million times, but to see them on the big screen, that's a different thing altogether.
It is a different thing.
It's so nostalgic. I love that idea.
Yeah. So for 15 cents on August 20th. So take a look at your local AMC.
Just prepare to spend a little bit more than that for the soda.
But they're also giving you a $5 off coupon for concessions.
Oh, well, that's great. That is
so they're giving you a little bit of a break there too.
And I listened to a podcast about the movie theater industry. I can't remember the name of it now, but it comes out every week. And they've been going through pretty much what live theater has been going through. All new titles just keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And now I heard Mulan. Yeah. The live action Mulan is just, they're not even going to go to the theater. They're going to go right to Disney Plus.
To Disney Plus.
There's our weekly Disney Plus.
There's our Disney Plus.
But yeah, so they're going through the same thing. And when we had that early opening, that was some of these art houses are like, well, yeah, we can open, but what can we show?
Right.
And there's nothing out there, no new titles. And I think it's going to be, until next year.
Sure, it'll be a little while, and that's why I think they're bringing back some of these others. Grease, not even for 15 cents.
No, I really don't.
Yeah,
I really don't. Sing along Grease on NBC if you really want.
Yeah, really. But Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, The Empire Strikes Back on a big screen again. I think
with
I
the
would.
Big sound.
I think I probably would. I think I'd probably be down for that.
Absolutely. I know at least 10, 15 people that our theater people are here at Phoenix that would go see Empire Strikes Back in a heartbeat.
On the big screen. So that's on August 20th. I wish them all the best.
What day of the week is
kind of like it's.
That's next Thursday.
It's
like you can't go.
We're here, but it's all day.
Oh, so go see a matinee.
Go see a matinee and then come see us.
And come see our show at 7:00.
That's true. Maybe we'll be on the big screen one day. Go to AMC and watch our podcast.
Our matinee 7.5 cents.
No,
and there's no senior discount either.
There's not, so don't ask for it.
7.5 cents.
Don't ask for it.
Figures you'd ask.
What's next, Tim? What are we doing next week?
Next week we're going to bring in an old friend, Agnes Dan. She was supposed to be here earlier, but she was in the show that we had to cancel because of the storm. So she's going to be coming in, and you're going to be talking about the beginnings.
The beginnings of things.
How everything all started that one day when you just showed up at that storefront in Naugatuck and called us up and said, hey, guess what? We're starting a theater.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about all that and the shoe.
And the shoe.
And the shoe.
The shoe. That's true. So we need to now.
Yes.
Thank our sponsors. Michael needs to change our slide, but he's on that. His fingers are feverishly poking around there. We need to thank our sponsors for Take Flight Live. We're sponsored by Black Hog Brewing Company. Where are they located, Tim?
Oxford, Connecticut, and they're open.
Yeah, they did open. They opened their grotto, which is their outdoor seating area. They have a food truck parked at the end there.
Awesome.
It's really, really great. So please go visit them. They're out by the Oxford Airport. Sierra Ridge Media Arts and Debbie Cryan from Naugatuck, Connecticut.
Yay, Debbie.
Yay, Debbie. She took good care of our friends during the storm outage. And thank you for all of your support at Phoenix Stage Company. Yep. A huge thank you also to Michael Calabrese, our technical producer, and Al Hathaway, our lighting genius.
For remembering how to do this 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, right? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And you can make a donation at any time to support your local community theater. Phoenix-stage-company.square.site. This has been a great week. This was a long one this week. Thank you for sticking with us.
Yep, and we're so glad to be back. We're so glad you're watching.
So happy to be back.
So glad you're doing good.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Yep.
So, Tim, say good night, Tim.
Good night, Tim. Good night, Al.
Goodbye for now, everyone. See you next week.
they still there?
I don't know. Are you guys still there? No.
No.
Host has stopped
Stop
your
the
video.
Oh, well.